All right, hello. So today I'm going to be running through some notebooks to show how the Kamiwaza SDK, the Python SDK, works. So you can see that right here I have a fresh Kamiwaza. We don't have any models deployed at the moment. And in this quick start notebook, which I'm going to be going through, we're going to download a model, deploy it, and then do some inference on it. And I'll explain any of the assumptions that we've made along the way. So to get started, we're going to install the Kamiwaza SDK package with pip. And then once that has been built, then we can instantiate our client. And we have some other imports, for example, like the OpenAI SDK that we'll be using for inference. But we will connect our client to the local host where the API is being served. This, in later versions, will have some authentication associated with it. First, we're just going to check to confirm that we don't have any models deployed or files downloaded yet. We're going to have to be doing all that here. So one of the first assumptions that we're making is that we have a general idea of what model we want. So in this case, we're going to be looking for Qwen 2.5, and we will use the client's model services search models function to do this, where it will go and just search this string across Hugging Face to see if there's any models that match it. In this case, we got 6. And then we actually have this helper function that in the back end will compare your system's operating system against the models that have been found and the model files that have been found. For example, I'm on a Mac, so we're going to be looking for gguf files. So if we run this, we see that out of those 6, 2 of them have compatible files. And we're going to be choosing here to go with the official release from Qwen. So we will grab this repo ID right here, and we will plug that in. I already did it, but we will plug that in down here, and then we can initiate the download of these files. And we do some opinionated decisioning on the back end right now of the SDK. So when we initiate this model download, you're going to give it the repo ID, and then you're also going to give it an optional quantization parameter. Right now, this has a priority order. It'll go like 6, 5, 3. But in later versions, this can be given a lot more functionality, so that way you can configure exactly what model you're going for if you want some sort of like standard decision making in the back end to decide what models should be downloaded in a priority over others. But now we can check on the download status for these using the check download status from the model service. We see that we have progress being made on both of them. So I will come back when these are done. All right, so we're just waiting on this last one to finish up. Cool. So now that we have our model files downloaded, we can deploy it. So if we continue on to the next cell, we're going to need to grab our model ID. We can see that that was printed out from this status check, but we could have also grabbed the model ID by just checking out what the, getting the information from the model based on the download that we did. So we will copy this model ID right here, plug that in. And then there's a default model config that was created when we initially downloaded this model. So we will just grab that one, and then we will deploy the model with this default config. So we can see now that we have this model being deployed, and then we just checked and got back our deployments. And actually, if we go back up, we can run the same one now to see that now we actually have models deployed. And if we check in our Kamiwaza UI, go to our models, we see that now we have this model and it's deployed. We can interact with it via Llama CPP, but we're just going to continue doing it in the notebook. So if I come back down, using the OpenAI SDK, we can do some inference on this. So first, I just ran this really quickly just to check that we have a deployment running. And then we set up our local OpenAI client, and we tell it what port to go to where our Qwen model is being deployed. And I'm just going to do a simple query on it. So we tell it it's a helpful assistant. I'm asking it what the capital of New Jersey is, also California, and how do you say green tea in Mandarin Chinese. So we'll run that, and we see that, here we go, New Jersey Trenton, California Sacramento, Mandarin is Lu Cha. So It's a pretty powerful model that I have running completely on my computer. So to show actually a practical use case, not just like simple questions that, well, I guess you probably don't know this one, but besides just simple questions that you probably know off the top of your head, we can see an actual use case. So, same thing, we're just going to install our Kamiwaza client and instantiate it. And then, same thing as before in that last one, we're going to make sure that we have a deployment that we can use. And the goal here, if we take a look in this directory, I have 3 CSV files. Ooh. So if we take a look at them, we have these columns. We have full name, job, email address, and then the name of the people. In this one, we have name, position, email, so it's the same data but different column names. It's formatted a little bit differently. And then here we have employee, title, contact info, still same data, but again, different formats. And then we also have like this john@example.com, jane@company.com, right? So we want to standardize all of this, and that's the goal, and we're going to do it all locally here. So we just have some simple functions for reading in CSVs and grabbing rows, but this is kind of the bulk of it here. We tell the system that it is a data standardization assistant. This is the schema we're going to be looking for each of the rows. And then we give it a few shot example just to kind of help the model make sure it adheres to the JSON schema. So we will run that just to get our stuff going. And here we can take a look at the data again to see how messy it is. We have different column names, and the general information within the columns is the same. So we just want to standardize all of this. So if we run this function, this is going to go through each of those CSV files, which granted are quite small, and then it's going to get all of those rows. It's going to hit the local Quen model that we have deployed and standardize them, and then it's going to save all of that to one JSON file in our data directory. So here we go, processing complete, results saved, and if we open up this one now, we see that we have 15 items, and each of them have been standardized to this schema that we have asked for. Take a look at all of them. So yeah, the cool thing about this, it was all done locally, and it only took a couple minutes to get set up.